Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a while since I've been able to make a cooking video, but I've just been super busy with work, and that's a good thing. I love what I do, and I just haven't had time to just slow down a minute and make a cooking video. But this is one of my husband's favorite recipes. It's just deer venison cube steak and gravy in the crock pot. So I've got the day off. I'm going to have to go to the grocery store here shortly, so I'm going to throw this in the crock pot and let this cook today, and I'll make some sides later when I get home. But I wanted to share with you guys one of his favorite dishes that I make. It's one that my mom shared with me when I was young and married. My dad was a big deer hunter and a big deer meat eater, and this was one of his favorite dishes as well. And as picky as she was, it was even something that she liked. A lot of times it was hard to get her to try different cuts of venison, but she really liked this one. It was always tender, and she enjoyed it. So she showed me how to make this years ago, probably when I was in my early 20s. You can make it in the oven too. I think that's how she did it, but today I'm going to have to run off. I'm going to go to the grocery store, so I'm going to put it in the crock pot. I got me a new crock pot. I bought it at auction a few weeks ago, and I haven't had a chance to use it. So it's just a basic, simple crock pot. I've been needing a new one. The lid on my old one was starting to tear up and hard to deal with. This one's just simple. It's just got high, low, and warm. It's easy to use. It's not got any bells and whistles and timers and anything like that. But like I say, I got it at auction. That's one of the things I enjoy doing with my son-in-law. Is we like to go to auctions, and my daughter. And this came across the table, and it was a bargain, so I grabbed it up. I had been needing one anyway. So I don't know if you guys ever go to auctions. Let me know if you do. But it's a fun pastime that I enjoy doing. But anyway, I'm going to get started on making this recipe, and I'm going to show you all the ingredients that it's going to take. This is just a simple recipe, but it's one that I found on Pinterest. And I'm sorry that my camera is not up higher. That's just as high as my tripod will go. But I'm going to use 2 packs of deer cube steak from the 2022 hunting season. So I'm going to get those open and put those in my crock pot first. In my bowl, I'm going to mix up 2 cans of golden mushroom soup, 2 packets of brown gravy mix, 1 packet of onion soup mix, and I've got 2 beef bouillon cubes. The recipe said you could use water or beef bouillon, but I think this probably give a little bit more flavor. So I've got my 2 cups of water because I'm not using canned beef broth. I'm using the beef bouillon cubes. I'm going to put that right there. So I'm going to go ahead and get this mixed up. Got me some new lights under here, if you guys notice. I'm excited about those. I hope it helps with the lighting quality of this video. Now the recipe did not say to add water to this soup mix. It just said to use 2 cans of the golden mushroom soup. I'm going to add my gravy mixes. I think a whisk might work better at this moment. What do you guys think? Like I said, my mom used to put hers in the oven. I'm going to go ahead and put the water in here. And I know that I didn't dissolve these beef bouillon cubes, but they will dissolve as the cooking progresses. The recipe said you could cook it on high for about 4 hours or low for 6 to 8 hours. I'm going to put mine on low. Like I said, I'm going to have to run to the grocery store. This one, like I said, was very simple. It doesn't have a timer on it, so I'm going to have to set a timer on my phone when 6 hours are up so I can check it. Alright. And then wash this thing up good. This is 2 packs of cube steak. They may not be all the way unthawed, I don't know. I put them in the microwave. I really don't like to do that, but I was running short on time. So I think by the time I get back from the store, I can stick a fork in there and separate them a little better. I'm not too worried about it. I don't know if I can get them apart any yet or not. I'll try. I don't know how many times I've chunked frozen stuff in the slow cooker. It'd be just fine. I'll pull them apart a little bit. They're coming apart. Usually don't like to use the microwave to defrost. That's just my personal preference. I usually just lay them out in the refrigerator the day before. But like I say, I didn't have time, so this will be okay. Trying to decide what I want to have for a side or two. Probably some mashed potatoes. Probably some biscuits. And there's a dessert that I would like to try. I don't know that I'm going to have time, so I won't spill the beans on that just yet, just in case I can't get to it. Alright. Wash my hands. Pour this over the top of my cube steak that I have in here. Turn this thing on high. I mean low, I'm sorry, I put it on low, I believe. And I'm going to throw these in there. It's probably not, that's not how you're supposed to do it. You're supposed to dissolve these, I know that. But they will dissolve here shortly. And I'll stir it in a little bit. Alright, well there's that. I've got it set on low. Then I'm going to set my timer on my phone for 6 hours. But as soon as I get back from the grocery store, I'm going to run in here and stir it and get those bouillon cubes broke up a little bit, or hopefully they'll be dissolved by then. Alright, we'll see you in a little bit. Okay guys, I have been to the grocery store and got back, I've checked on my cube steak a few times. I've stirred it a few times. I've made sure that those bouillon cubes were dissolved well, and that shouldn't be too far away, and that'll be done. I think I contradicted myself a little bit earlier. I said that the recipe came from my mom and Pinterest. Well, like I said before, the recipe my mom had gave me, I was in my 20s, and my mind was not, oh, I need to write this down. I just know the basics of how she did it and how good it was, so I did have to go back to Pinterest to find something that was similar to what she did. So it is what mom introduced me to, with, I guess, with a touch of Pinterest in there anyway. But also, I was thinking about that dessert that I wanted to make, and I'm going to make a apple pie made from dried apples. So our uncle was kind enough to give us a bag of dried apples that he got off of his apple tree. He lives probably about 15-20 minutes from here, and those apple trees, I don't remember how old they are. I know that they have been getting apples from that tree as long as I've been in the family, and that's been over 30 years that they've been drying apples from that tree, or trees. I don't really know how many trees they have. But he shared a bag of, or actually about 4 bags of dried apples with me, so I'm going to make a dried apple pie. Now, I don't know that I've ever had a whole pie made with dried apples before. I know that I've had fried apple pies made with them that I believe my mother-in-law made some. But I think I'm going to attempt to make a dried apple pie, a whole pie, using 2 pie crusts. And I'm going to admit that I'm not the best pie crust maker, so I did buy some store-bought pie crust to make this dried apple pie. And I am going to look on Pinterest on my phone for that recipe, because I had no clue where to start making a dried apple pie. So the first thing it said I need to do is soak these apples for about an hour in apple juice. So it says that I need, let me get my glasses on. It says I need 3 cups of dried apples and 2.5 cups of apple juice. And it said that I need to get this apple juice hot. So I'm going to put 2.5 cups of apple juice on the stove to get hot. This little cup holds 2 cups. I'll have to see where the half cup mark is. So that's that. Alright, it says I'm going to put this on the boil, and then I'm going to put the apples, I think it's 2 cups or 3 cups of apples in this after it boils. I'm going to pick it over here to the stove, turn that on. Alright, so I'm just going to wait for that apple juice to boil before I add my apples. I decided I'm going to make some mashed potatoes and open a jar of the green beans that we canned. I believe it was the summer before last when we canned these green beans. So that's what we'll have with our supper, and we'll have some biscuits. So I'm going to get started peeling some apples. I'm sorry, I'm going to peel some potatoes, not apples. Now we're going to save these peelings and see if the pigs or the chickens will like them. Right, my apple juice over there is hot, so I'm going to go grab it and bring it over here and put our dried apples in and let them soak for an hour before we make our pie. The recipe said I needed 3 cups of dried apples, so this is 2. Isn't that what you do? You do a brand new recipe you've never done for all of YouTube to see? Don't that make sense? Well, I know I like fried apples, so I think we'll like this too. That's about 3 cups of the dried apples. Press that in there. We'll let those soak for about an hour. I gotta get a lid to go on my potatoes. Hope I'm not the only one who has to try out 3 or 4 lids before you find the one that fits the pot that you're wanting to use. So we're going to turn those up and get those boiling for our mashed potatoes. I got my apples soaking. I cut the last of the daffodils, or Easter flowers as we call them, this morning. I waited a couple of weeks or 3 weeks before I made me a bouquet of them, so those were the last pretty ones. So I went ahead and cut me some. And since I guess today is try all things new for YouTube and see how much you can mess up, I'm going to try a different biscuit recipe for you guys too. I'm sure many of you have heard of it. It's the 2-ingredient biscuit recipe where you just used your self-rising flour and the heavy whipping cream. That's the only 2 ingredients that you use, and then you just bake them like you do your other biscuits. But I'm going to try those today. I haven't had a chance to make this crock pot dish in quite some time. I thought I would try that today. And of course I make mashed potatoes all the time. I've never made the apple pie, so I thought I would try that today. And I'm going to make these 2-ingredient biscuits. So why not try everything new for YouTube and see how many times I can mess up. So I'm going to get started. My daughter got me this nice baking pan, cookie sheet, biscuit pan, whatever you want to call it, and I've enjoyed using that. That's what she got me for Christmas, so it's been nice having that. So I'm going to get started on making the 2-ingredient biscuits. I finally was able to get my white lily flour today. The last time that I bought flour, the shelves were pretty bare and I was not able to get it. I'm going to use the same amount of flour that I usually use. And that's probably about 3 cups in there, something like that. I always like to have extra biscuits for the boys to have. I say boys, they're grown men, my husband and son, for the next day. So you just get your flour. I don't sift it or anything. It might be better if it is, but I'm not sifting it. And you use the heavy whipping cream. I'm going to finish up this carton and you just use this, I don't know the right ratio for it. I've made them a couple of times before, and they are easy. This is all there is to it. You don't got to get your hands in it at this point anyway. You can just drop them on your pan and not roll them out, but I do like mine rolled out. These are thicker than biscuits that you make with shortening and milk or buttermilk. Y'all let me know if you make this kind of biscuits. I'll turn my potatoes down. They're getting a little bit excited over there. Yeah. That's really, as far as the batter consistency goes, that's what's different to me, is that this is quite a bit thicker than normal for me. Guess if I'd open the lid, it would help. I guess it's better to add a little at a time than too much all at once. I guess that's my theory on that. Like I say, I've made these a couple of times before, and I like them just fine. It's thicker than normal biscuit dough, like I said. So I'm going to roll them out just the same though. So now I'm going to go ahead and put on the green beans. These are some that I canned a couple of summers ago. I can get it off. There we go. I know it's a debate whether or not you rinse your beans or not, but I have always drained the juice off of my beans and rinsed them. Please tell me what you guys do. So I drained the water off of them, gave them a rinse. And at this point you can season them ever how you would like. So this may be a popular or not popular opinion with you, but I do put just a little bit of olive oil on mine to season them up a little bit. I know that I put salt in them when I canned them, but I put a little bit more salt on them when I'm going to warm them up. I'm going to put these on the stove and get these guys cooking. Okay, so now we're going to get this dried apple pie going. Done a little bit of dishes, got some mess cleaned up here. So we got our apples ready over there. They soaked for an hour, and then you cook them for about 10 or 15 minutes until they're tender. So now we're gonna add, go back here and picture my recipe, because like I said, I've never done this one before. We got 3/4 cup of sugar, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. This is 1/4 a teaspoon, so you have to do our math and do it 4 times. Okay. And then 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. Oh, it's brand new. How about that? And then 2 tablespoons of flour. You gotta go over here on this side and get my flour. That's 2 tablespoons of flour. Then 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Mix all this together. I'll reach over here and get my dried apples. Now, if I was supposed to drain those apples, it didn't say, so I didn't drain them. If you've got a good dried apple recipe of any kind, please share. Because like I say, we were gifted about 4 bags of dried apples. I know I want to make some apple bread. I'm going to pour this in here. Like I said before, I had to do the store-bought crust because I'm just not good at homemade crust. For some reason, it just, I don't know. I don't have the knack for that. It said to fold it under, so we're going to try that. To fold the extra under the edges. Tuck it under that bottom pie crust. I guess that kind of seals it in there. Now, I've made apple pies from the canned pie filling before. Apple cobblers and that kind of thing. I guess this will be something different. Got my oven preheated to 400. Alright, let's see if we can make it look a little fancier than that. Let's get a fork. I don't know. Crimp the edges down like those in the store look. Okay. Let's cut some slits in it so it can vent while it cooks. All right. So there's that. I'm gonna stick this in the oven. So now we're going to make our mashed potatoes. The potatoes have been done for a little while. I've been busy doing other things, but I've kept them hot on the stove and I just drained the water from them. So I'm going to put them in my bowl. Now there's nothing healthy about my mashed potatoes. It's butter and milk and salt and pepper all the way. But anyway, a funny story about mashed potatoes is that's how my mama said she knew that I was going to have my second baby even before I knew I was going to have him, because I didn't have a mixer, and I was going, she was my neighbor, and I would go and borrow her mixer on the nights that I made the mashed potatoes. And apparently that week or whatever, I had borrowed the mixer like 3 nights in a row, because I would always take it back the next day to make mashed potatoes. So that's how she suspected that I was going to have the second baby, and sure enough, she was right. I don't know if they suited my taste that week for some reason, but I had mashed potatoes a lot that week. Mama was a good mashed potato maker, that's for sure. Push that butter down in there and get it hot, get it to melting. Go ahead and put some salt in there. I don't measure things like this. You just have to do it to suit your own taste. I probably had about 3 pounds of potatoes though, or so, that I peeled and cut up and cooked. I usually don't add my milk just yet. I do this first. I do the butter and the salt and pepper, and then I just add the milk to get it as creamy as I want it. This is how I've made mashed potatoes my whole married life, over 30 years. If you have any tips, tricks, or suggestions, let me know. I don't like instant potatoes. They'll do in a pinch when I'm in a bind or a hurry or something like that. But if I've got time, I always do this. stir them up and give them a taste. Now, how I know I have them creamy enough for me is I see how that just kind of, they just all mashes together like this, and when there's really no holes or gaps, if that makes sense. And when the beaters are rotating, you'll see like holes and gaps, but it'll get thick and smooth, and that's kind of about how we like ours. See if I got enough salt in them. Like I say, you do it to your own preference. Just a little bit more. I think that'll get it. I don't have any fancy lids for my bowls, but a plate will do. Gonna have some good old sweet tea with our dinner too. I don't know how you make yours, but this is how I learned to make mine. Was on the stove top. I used 2 tea bags for a half a gallon. I'm gonna turn that on low. Let that steep for a little bit. Alright, I've let my tea steep for a few minutes. One of my personal choices is not to let it boil. I just let it steep until it's turned really dark. This is just Louisiana tea that I buy in the grocery store. I just made a half a gallon. I put 1 cup of sugar for a half a gallon. That's what we like. I just filled that back up with water. Let that set just a second while I stir up the sugar and the tea while it's hot, so my sugar will dissolve better. Pour this water in. I love these half-gallon size jars. I use them for anything like that, Kool-Aid or lemonade or tea or anything that you want to make a half a gallon of. For us, it's about the perfect size for one meal. Alright guys, I finally got dinner ready and Rowdy got home from work and I'm going to let him make his plate. This is usually not a typical Monday night supper. This is usually something I fix on the weekend. So he's going to get a little bit spoiled tonight. But I've made the venison cube steak with mashed potatoes, green beans, biscuits, and I made some sweet tea. And then right here is the apple pie. It's not the prettiest, but I think it'll be good. So we're going to let him make his plate.
I was quite surprised when I got home. I know this is going to be good. It's a real treat.
Like, I make the cube steak in an au jus gravy in the crock pot before, but this is the first time I've made it in the crock pot with the golden mushroom soup. Usually I make it in the oven. This is similar to my mom's. It won't be just like hers. It may not be even be as good as hers, but I think it'll still be good.
Good old rattlesnake green beans.
So have you a bite of that steak there and see. Tell me what you think.
This is gonna be good. I know. This is a meal fit for a king. Thank you, Mama.
You're welcome.
Very good.
Is it good and tender?
Yes.
Alright, I appreciate you guys watching and hanging out with me while I prepare dinner today. Off and on, it took me about half a day, but that's okay. I enjoy doing it when I can. So I hope y'all have a blessed week. Please like and subscribe. Almost left off the pie, guys. I'm going to let him try this dried apple pie. I've never made one before, so we're going to see what he thinks about it. Get it? Yeah, there's a good picture of it. Put a little bit of whipped cream on it.
Can you see?
It's a little blurry. Get you a bite.
It's good.
Is it sweet enough?
Yeah.
It didn't really call for a whole lot of sugar,
It's
but
not real sweet. It's not too sweet.
the recipe said that you soak the dried apples in apple juice for an hour, and then you cook them for about 15 or 20 minutes, and then you put them in the pie. So I've never really fooled with dried apples other than eating them like chips. That's my first experience with making a dried apple pie. Now his grandma could make the best dried apple stack cake you ever put in your mouth.
These are Stamen wine sap apples, which are my favorite kind. They're kind of a tart apple. They're good for lots of things.
I told them that they come from very old apple trees, that they've been in the family as long as I can remember, but I didn't know what kind they were or how many trees there were.
It's a Stamen wine sap.
Do you know how many trees are over there on the property?
I think there's just 2 left. There used to be a lot, but they're older than I am.
Yeah. Well, they make good apples, don't they?
Yes.
All right. I'll say thank you for watching again, and I hope y'all have a great day.